Hey, it's Sterling K. Brown from the Hulu original series Paradise. The next chapter begins as Xavier's search for his wife takes him above ground, and what he finds will change everything. It was never just about the bunker. Tune in and discover the truth lies outside. Paradise, the official podcast, is now streaming, and stream Paradise Season 2 on February 23rd on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+.
Hello and welcome to Fintech Insider. I'm David Brear, Group CEO here at 11FS. On this week's episode, we're going to be catching up with Emma Hagan, who is the UK CEO over at ClearBank. ClearBank is building the infrastructure layer that so many fintechs and financial institutions rely on, and now is starting to push into that next wave with digital assets and stablecoins firmly on their agenda. It's really great to have you on the show, Emma. How are you doing?
Yeah, really great. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No worries. I was complimenting you about your curtains beforehand. They're very sparkly. There's a home decor vibe going on there as well. I'm very impressed. I'll be honest. Like anybody who has a better decor than my shoe collection, I'm always impressed by. So it's very good. What we're going to be doing today is unpacking what ClearBank does for anybody who's been living under a rock for the last 10 years, and what it actually takes to scale bank-grade infrastructure. That is no small feat in terms of making those things actually happen. It was bank grade was a stipulation that were of high bar of things for a long time, and it's companies like yours, Emma, who are bringing that back to be a good thing. And obviously, as we said, the move into more digital assets and what that really means in practice. But maybe to start us off for listeners who aren't familiar, what's a ClearBank?
ClearBank was founded about 10 years ago, and it was originally founded as the first new clearing bank in over 250 years. And it was really on the premise that in the new wave of kind of digital banking, the thing that hadn't changed was really access to clearing. It's still dominated by a relatively small number of people, legacy technology stacks, and kind of not really fit for the digital age and the kind of innovation we were seeing at the time. So we focused on that. And what we do now is really two things. And one of them is clearing. So we provide direct access into all the UK clearing schemes and a suite of accounts built on API cloud-native technology. So really kind of modern technology stack with full access. So enabling people to have a different choice in the market from the incumbents. And the second thing that we do is embedded banking, where we take that same infrastructure, so the payments and account platform, and we integrate with typically another FI. So whether that's an e-money firm or a payment firm who are looking to differentiate and compete in the market in a different way, and we embed that bank account into their front end. So their clients get access to bank products, but with kind of all the extra offerings they offer as part of their kind of suite of services. So a great example is Tide. And we do that now for over 250 FIs in the clearing space, everything from e-money firms, building societies, banks, credit unions. And more recently, we've moved into corporate as well. We do exactly the same thing, but for non-regulated firms, where we recently announced things like our Pay Captain partnership through embedded banking.
Very cool. It's always an interesting one if somebody hasn't done it for 250 years, you having a go, like how hard can it be if nobody's attempted it? But I guess 10 years into everybody being in that journey, then, clearly there was a gap in the market for it. But I guess the companies that did it 250 years ago are probably not best to serve customers today in, like you say, such a technologically advanced marketplace in which we operate in.
Yeah, exactly. When you're looking at the new wave of challenger banks, people like Alica and Oak North, they're really founded on providing a different experience in the market, a seamless user experience, real-time payments, real-time settlement. And they want a clearing bank that just sits there in the background, and we take care of the infrastructure part, the hard last leg into the payment schemes. They want someone who scales as quickly as they do, who is trying to innovate alongside them, who's there to support them. And also from our perspective, we're dedicated to that market. We're not there to compete with them. We don't lend. So we're really just there to support that innovation and provide the infrastructure for them to do what they do best in the market. And I think that's also the difference for us. We're not a universal bank, and we are really there and dedicated to that market to help those companies who are launching something new and something different to be really successful with what they do.
Yeah, it's a very important specialism, but a specialism nevertheless, isn't it? In terms of being able to lend that regulatory side of things and underpinning the fundamentals of banking, isn't it? I mean, you've been at ClearBank for a little while now in different roles, right? You've been in risk and operations and different things, and now stepped into the CEO role. I mean, seeing the organization from all those angles must really help you now in the. How long have you been in the CEO job? Is it just over? Is it 7, 8 months, something like that?
It's actually coming up to 18 months now. Would you believe?
Wow, time flies when you're having fun.
It really does, yeah.
But all of that experience must have really helped for this new challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been really fortunate in my career, even before ClearBank. I was involved in Silicon Valley Bank before, and we were building a bank in the UK at the time when I joined there. So I've seen it through many different lenses before. I think the risk role in particular, so I was the chief risk officer before, it gives you a really broad remit and a really broad perspective on what's going on, where the improvements are, how stuff works, what clients really want from you. And particularly because of what we do, one of the things that you mentioned, bank grade, people really want to work with someone who is safe and resilient and takes compliance and their reputation really seriously. And so I think that actually, in moving to the CEO role, lends itself really well because I understand the space. I've worked in banking and financial services my entire career, both in terms of being somebody who accesses clearing through an incumbent, but also, again, now on the other side of it. So I think it gives you a really broad lens, a really good understanding of some of the challenges, and also a really good understanding of the ways in which you can work together to get stuff done differently. So innovating while staying kind of safe in that environment, which again is a big reason our clients work with us, and something we take really seriously as part of our brand.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've seen lots of through the risk side of things and also through finance, actually, logical decision makers, people who are good at taking broad context of those things and, calculating it all to make a sensible decision, make really good CEOs. So that makes a lot of sense. I guess, back in the day, like I say, through all of your experience, was sort of being the CEO of a company always on the horizon?
Not really. If I'm honest, I've always been more interested in how in places where I feel like I can add value, in companies that do something genuinely exciting, who are focused on clients and being really client centric as a company. And so for me, this opportunity came up largely as a result of our growth. We were expanding. We were in the process of opening an EU bank. That was exciting to get to work on itself. And so as part of that expansion, we had a bigger structure we had to put in place. The opportunity came up. I thought, well, I really love ClearBank. I've enjoyed my entire time there. I love the innovation side of it. So it kind of felt like a natural move for me, given that I'd been so involved in the growth in those last kind of 5 years already. It's sort of the next step on, and also having the opportunity to bring in some great talent kind of as my successor in the risk function as well. So just a really great opportunity and great timing.
Good successes lead to opportunities, right? In that regard, so it's it's good to see things going strength to strength. How have you found that change? Having run a business for the last 10 years, being the CEO is actually a pretty lonely place. Like it's a different type of role when the buck sort of stops with you. There's interesting pressure from above with the investors and interesting pressure from below. But I mean, I don't think I'd change a day of it. I've enjoyed most of the 10 years. But how have you found that?
I think it's something. And for me, always in my career, every year I start fresh and go, what would I need to do? What do I need to do differently this year? Because each time, even if you're in the same role, it's like this year looks different. We're in a different stage of growth. The challenges look different. So I've always looked at it through that lens. There definitely are some shifts that I've had to make in terms of helping me to be successful in that role. I think one of the fortunate things I've carried over is actually, I don't know if it's fortunate actually or not. Risk is quite often a lonely place. Not quite as lonely, I'll call it, but there are definitely times when you're a little bit on your own and you're having to take a position to do the right thing that isn't always popular. So that definitely is something that helped me a lot in making the transition. But I think the really important thing for me has been if you find a really great team, you hire great people, and you can help them to succeed. And you get also the added joy of seeing clients come on board, them being successful. You kind of get to share a little bit in that success and enjoy the time there, as well as kind of dealing with the challenges around you. So I think that's helped me a lot. Will it carry on? Who knows? I think, like I say, I have to keep reevaluating what works for me in terms of how do I help ClearBank continue to be successful and the people around me to succeed as well.
Yeah, that momentum's so exciting, isn't it? When everything you can see people growing and shaping, and to be fair, the time in the industry as well. You talk a little bit about the competitive landscape in terms of we've got the banks and the fintechs and all the it's a good time to be changing the industry in terms of how it's happening, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot of maybe sort of misunderstanding around what really sort of modern clearing really looks like, though, particularly I guess in the embedded banking space, because I think people are often quite easy to grasp the things that touch the screen and customers can directly engage with, but modern clearing businesses is so far in the back office, I guess, that people don't quite have the context of exactly how it works, right?
Yeah, that is definitely true, and in some ways you can look at it as a success as well, right? If you're almost invisible and stuff just happens, and it feels effortless, you kind of go, okay, well, that was a good job. We did a good job, and you can feel proud about that. But it is a lot more difficult to explain to somebody what you do in a way that helps them understand it. And so I think, yeah, it does look different. I talked at the beginning about API native and cloud technology. Really, those are just the uses of different technology to deliver an end user experience. We don't do that directly. We do it via our customers, but it's the same deal. How do people that we're working with, when they're dealing with consumers and SMEs in the market, how do they make sure that when they get to the clearing bit of the leg of the journey, that it doesn't feel like they suddenly hit the slow lane? That they're working in batch payments, or that doesn't feel like a great customer service, or our clients are worrying whether or not the technology stack is going to hold up. All those things I think we look at as we can take that worry away and we take care of that hard stuff so they can do what they do best. I think when you get to, and you made the point, embedded banking, it's even more challenging, and you tend to have to kind of talk about the kind of clients that we work with, again, to realize the difference that makes. And I mentioned Tide at the beginning. Tide's got well over 10% of the SME current account market now. Those current accounts sit with ClearBank, but what that has enabled to do, that partnership, is really allow the SME market to have a genuine alternative to the big banks, to get kind of almost like a startup business in a box via all the other services that Tide bundle alongside that bank account. And that helps the economy from a UK perspective. So, and doing that in a real-time, seamless way where, again, the resiliency is built in, it's bank-grade technology stacks. Hopefully people see it in the end, but yeah, they don't necessarily see the ClearBank part, because our job is just to make it happen.
Yeah, like you say, when everything works perfectly, then nobody knows you exist. It's you're the superheroes in the background, the shadowy background, aren't you? It's nice. I feel like there's an outfit there, but I mean, the interesting point on that as well is that, as you say, increasingly the way 10 years ago, convincing somebody that you're going to build an infrastructure that's going to take 10% of the UK current account market, people will be like, well, when you've proved it a little bit, and we'll come back when we've got this proof point, and go get your first 5 customers, and like, now that you've got all of these proof points, the conversations must be really different when you're being engaged with people, because, like you say, you guys are behind some of the the biggest UK success stories, which it must be really give a lot of pride to the team as well, right?
It does. And it's hard. It's definitely, like anyone who's been involved in a startup before, it's really hard work. to get known in the market, to get the proof points, to get clients to trust you, to work with you. And we're incredibly grateful to those early clients who took a little bit of a gamble on us, because we were unknown. And as we talked about, no one had done it for a really long time. And there was kind of a reason for that, because it was hard. But it was worth doing, because the opportunity and the support we could then provide for that next wave of digital age ready companies was invaluable. And we still think there's a huge opportunity in the market to support kind of UK innovation. And as we've opened up in the EU, also to do the same in other markets. So it's definitely worth it. But it's hard work to get there. But when you see that end result and you see more people kind of naturally coming to you and thinking of you as kind of somebody who can really help them with their challenges they're trying to solve in the market, or help them grow their business, that kind of makes it worth it. But it's definitely been hard work to get here to this point.
Definitely, but many successes as well. And actually, I mean, even I always think the revenue and the profitability is beyond the equal sign. It's like you do all of the things in the equation to get to that down the line, but get to that you have done. So ClearBank have been profitable for the last 2 years, which is pretty cool. If you've been in charge for 75% of that, I'm just saying there was clearly some influence there, which is great. So, but that as an organization, operating at the scale that you are, and investing so heavily in technology still, and developing that as well, that's a really good outcome, isn't it?
It is. It's something we've always been focused on, which is getting to profitability and staying there while continuing to invest. And one of the reasons for that was because we are a clearing bank, and we do sit behind a lot of really fast growing companies. And when we talked about the importance of sort of resiliency and compliance built in, a big part of that is also trust. And our clients need to trust that we are sustainable and we're going to be here for the long run, because it's really hard work. If it's hard work setting up a clearing bank, it's also really hard switching your clearing bank, because it's the way everything works for you. So if it goes wrong, it's a huge impact. And so we saw that as important, not profit for profit's sake, but how do we sustainably continue to grow and invest in our business in a way that our clients can have trust that we're in it for the long run, and we're in it for long partnerships with our clients, and that we are going to be financially responsible as well as regulatory compliance responsible and technology responsible, to ensure that we're here with them partnering as they grow, and that we're investing in products and scalability to ensure that we keep pace with their growth too.
Yeah. And I mean, growth is it's a messy, mucky, difficult thing. And do you know what? We'll talk about that more after the break, though, because I think there's a lot more to talk about there. But we're going to take a quick break, guys. We'll be back with you straight after these messages. Hey folks, David Brear here, CEO of 11FS. Here's something you might not know about me. I get a lot of people trying to impersonate me online, fake profiles, scam emails, the lot. And a big part of that comes from data brokers, hundreds of them, quietly collecting and selling your personal information, your phone number, email, home address, job title, all out there and all fueling identity theft, scam calls, and spam. If you've ever searched your own name online, hands up, who hasn't? You'll know how exposed you really are. That's why we've partnered with Incogni. They contact 230 plus data brokers and tell them to delete your information properly and legally under GDPR and CCPA. Doing it yourself would take hundreds of hours. Incogni automates the whole thing and keeps working with repeat removal requests if your data reappears. I tried it, and within days, saw brokers deleting my data. You can even protect your family members too. Fintech Insider listeners get 60% off an annual plan. Just head to incogni.com/fintech insider and use code Fintech Insider. And yes, it's risk-free with a 30-day money-back guarantee. You'll find the link in the description.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to Fintech Insider. We're chatting with ClearBank's UK CEO, Emma Hagan. We're talking about growth. I mean, a big part of growth. I always kind of think, every business around the planet, whether you're a clearing bank or you manufacture sneakers, whatever, it's the people within those organizations that do all of those things, right? I probably have to revise that as the robots do take over, but people and culture is a big driver for what you're doing and how you're getting there. And obviously over the last 10 years, Emma, ClearBank has scaled significantly from, pretty humble roots in terms of it being, a very small team to, as you say, much larger ambitions in terms of where you're going and what you want to achieve. So, I mean, how do you, probably maintain's not the right word, but how do you evolve that culture as you've scaled the business?
So I think we've done a few things as a team, and it's definitely something we spend a lot of time on in terms of culture. I think we've looked very much recently at our hiring processes. So how do we look and find the right people, the kind of people that are going to really enjoy the environment here at ClearBank, and also have the opportunity to thrive? How do we bring in also new ideas and diversity of thinking? And so how do we get that ingredient mix right? So yes, we kind of keep the core of our culture in terms of the focus on innovation, the client centricity, and the mission, if you like, from our perspective, but also we don't stagnate. And we create an environment where people want to thrive. So we've definitely spent time on the hiring process, and we spend a lot of time on behaviors and what do our values mean for us, and what do we expect to see from people? What can they expect from us in return? And that, I think, has helped us. But the culture's definitely evolved over time, as it will do, when you go from a relatively small number to, for us, not only an increase in the number of people that are with us, we've set up new functions as everyone does, but we've also obviously opened in Europe too. So now we've kind of got a multi-jurisdictional piece to wrap in as well. But I think the really exciting thing has been seeing kind of new talent come in, seeing the growth in existing talent, but still keeping that core of who we are as an organization. And I think that hopefully shows up really well for clients, and that they still get the same feeling from us as they did many years ago, but recognizing that we are adding products or coming to the market with new innovations that help support them at the same time.
It's interesting, isn't it? And again, having run a business for 10 years, the beginning is very easy because there's 4 or 5 people and you all agree wildly and yada, yada, yada. And then there's 50 people. And then you're like, oh God, those things that we thought we all knew, we've got to start writing down. And then, the changes over that time are really interesting. But I mean, I'd say in my experience, last 10 years, the market stuff, the competitor stuff, the blah, 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 not pales in significance to the crazy things people might do at some point or another. It's almost the cycles are really interesting as well. I'm sure you've seen this, Emma, which is it's a little bit like building a sports team. Do you know what I mean? Like you'll have a brilliant team and the cycle shifts and you've got to change things and it changes as you get bigger. And as you say, with you guys now being in multiple geographies, then actually every place has a different culture, and building yours to be resilient to all of those things is actually a really interesting challenge. But it is what makes your job super interesting, isn't it? It's the problems you get out of bed every day, and want to evolve those things towards solving for those problems. But yeah, the behaviors bit I think is really important, as you say, because I mean that's what creates the environment, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, it would be really boring if nothing changed. I don't think people would want to come to that kind of company where it's sort of the same year after year and there's no growth. And I think, again, we tend to find that, we attract those people, the people that love the idea of doing something new and something different. And they can see I think the other part we see a lot is, I'm sure you have too, people who feel like they can make an impact. The work they do matters. What they do and how they show up every day really matters. And I think that's quite exciting for people to know that their work and what they do makes a difference in the world.
Yeah. Well, and we say the industry's shifting, the things, I mean, 10 years ago, the digital asset scene is a good example, wasn't really as mature as it is today. And you guys have been making some really interesting noises and steps in that space. I think there's some collaborations you guys have been doing with Circle and Taurus. Do you want to talk to us a little bit more about what they are and what it is that you're trying to achieve?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, it feels like it's moving quite fast now, which is quite exciting because there was a lot of talk for a long time and not necessarily quite as much movement, and it feels like the pace is really picking up. So yeah, we announced our partnership with Circle, and we are in the process of building that out. It's fair to say with a Taurus, our technology partner in that space, and initially, we're looking primarily kind of in Europe, starting in Europe there with Circle and Taurus. Obviously, we know that the UK kind of regulatory regime has been under development, and there's a ton of progress now that we've seen in the space. But as we talked about before, knowing what good looks like and building in regulatory compliance is quite important for us, and also making sure that we're all clear about how, from our perspective, how and where do we play to make a difference? So what adds value to the market and our clients? So we're looking from an EU perspective at how we partner in the Circle Partner network, payment network. We're also looking at it, and we've talked a lot in the market about stablecoins. So what role can ClearBank play in stablecoins? I think kind of the connections with Circle, obviously huge player in stablecoins, and also Taurus in terms of infrastructure, important developments in that. From a UK perspective, we're spending a lot of time on, we've spent a lot of time on the policy side of it in terms of kind of the input into kind of what should the regulatory framework look like. We obviously work with a lot of digital asset companies in the space, so the likes of Coinbase. We also work with Revolut, both are embedded banking clients. Coinbase we worked with for a very long time. We've got a number of other kind of digital asset companies. So we're constantly looking ways that we, from a ClearBank perspective, stay relevant. So how can we participate in whether it's tokenized deposits or something in the stablecoin ecosystem, but also then what can we do from infrastructure's perspective? Going back to what we do best, what does that look like in terms of supporting those companies as we go through, hopefully, the next phase of exciting innovation where we see kind of real traction on stable coins and tokenized deposits, particularly in the UK market, where it's been a little bit quieter over the last couple of years.
Yeah. It's interesting that, isn't it, being the sort of UK ecosystem and I know there's a lot of push to move outside of London, but still, within London, actually the engagement that the regulators and the government do with leading players in the market to help shape the narratives around these things, or as you say, where the legislation sort of goes is really important, isn't it? So playing a part of that education capability and shaping what that future looks like. It's the clearing banks that started 250 years ago, I don't think have maintained that leading sort of innovation sphere. So, I guess, as you say, a big part of the mandate for ClearBank is sort of staying on that edge. I guess with this particularly, where we're talking about, digital assets more broadly, I mean, taking that step from, helping shape an observation into, action is clearly a step that you guys are taking. Is that due to the confidence that you've got in the market, or the confidence in your ability to have impact? What's sort of driven the shift?
I think it's a bit of several things. Firstly, we were founded on the premise of delivering innovation for the good of the market, for the good of clients, the good of the financial services. I think we still believe that. So we certainly want to be involved in innovation, and we see digital assets as kind of the next wave of innovation that's kind of already sort of a bit here. We also have seen, I think, from our perspective, the UK is in a really great place. It's also been a really exciting place historically for fintech and innovation. And I think we think that is a place that we want a crown that we want to maintain, if you like. And there's a lot going on in the world around digital assets and stablecoin. I think particularly when we look at opportunities on cross-border, so stablecoins and the use of making cross-border payment remittance easier, it feels like there's a real use case there. And certainly we've seen the impact of how challenging it can be to get kind of that cross-border money remittance working in the same way that we see, in the same way that ClearBank was founded on, as in real time, seamless, scalable, cost efficient. So we look at that stablecoin as potentially an option for delivering that on a cross-border basis. So we want to be relevant in terms of doing that. And I think from where the world is moving in terms of the development of stablecoin and tokenized deposits, it's so important that we play a part in that from a UK perspective. And ClearBank, when we look at our role, aside from sort of supporting developments in regulatory regimes or policy, working with government and regulators, I think that fits really closely with what we're trying to do, which is provide the infrastructure that helps support innovation in our clients. So stablecoin and tokenized deposit is kind of a sitting alongside fiat, but potentially being that next wave of innovation, feels like there must be a role for an infrastructure player to come in and support that next level of innovation in the market. And that's where I think ClearBank in particular is looking to support both people looking at issuing stablecoins, tokenization, and potentially at some point playing in that market ourselves, again, all for the benefit of our clients and the market we serve.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Initially, as all sort of, breaking technologies do, it's, it's about replacement or, pirates of the high seas stuff, but increasingly, as you say, the narrative around stablecoins is much more of a sort of a complementary one than it is, an A or a B. So, and as you say, from an infrastructure player perspective, giving people options across those things is hugely important. I think the other point that you made there as well around the UK's thing, actually, the UK, British common law and all that good stuff, we're very good at creating the agenda that essentially sets the standard for the globe, which is, it's a precarious place sometimes because it's, you keep having to swing for the fences, don't you? But from an organizational perspective, that's a real, back to that point around culture, then, continually evolving, continually looking for opportunities and, pushing those boundaries. That's a great place to be.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we're committed to the UK market. We think it's still a really exciting place to be. So very committed to making sure that we again adopt. To your point, it's as well as, not instead of, but embracing innovation and technology for the good of the market.
Yeah, and do you see that sort of? It's interesting when sort of culture and that drive for change becomes a competitive advantage, because obviously 10 years ago, nobody done it for 250 years, but increasingly people, whenever you're successful, somebody thinks, somebody's going to have a go. I can't believe somebody hasn't started 12FS yet, you know what I mean? Like just to be antagonistic, you know what I mean? But I feel like I've just put an idea in a listener's ears there, which is probably a bad idea. But the space is getting, I guess, a little bit more crowded than it was before. Like, how do you maintain that edge? How do you stay competitive in this space? Is it about continually challenging yourselves to evolve?
Yeah, so I think we've always looked at competition as a good thing, because it means we must be doing something right, so that someone does want to do what we want to do. And also, again, competition is being good for the market as a whole. I think for us, how do we kind of stay sort of relevant at the cutting edge? It is continuing to listen to our clients and what they need, so that we're developing products that are useful to them genuinely and help support their growth. I think for us, it's also, and we touched on a little bit, how the early days are really hard. So getting the scale and the resiliency and the reg compliance, the bank grade bits, it takes quite a lot of work. And I think, again, we're incredibly focused on continuing to deliver that level of resiliency and the scalability that we've always enjoyed to date. And I think that, again, helps us to be competitive in the market. We've proven that we can do it. We've proven we can do it at scale. I think we will continue to make sure, though, to the point about stablecoins and digital assets, that we remain relevant. Again, markets move quickly, probably quicker than they ever have done before. The kind of technology advances move so fast. I think for us, we're always focusing on how do we stay relevant to what our clients and the market need. So how do we make sure that we're not complacent, sitting back and going, okay, well, we're done yet. We're never going to be done. there's always going to be something new that we could be doing, and we'll always be focused on that. So that balance of kind of innovation, how do we stay at the cutting edge, as well as making sure that we continue to deliver on the promises we made from the beginning about being resilient and scalable and reg compliance built in, and supporting kind of what our clients, the client base needs. So it's a challenge we spend a lot of time on, about where are we spending our time? Are we doing enough of this? Should we do some more? Where do we invest next? What are our clients telling us we should be doing? And really making sure that we're trying to balance all of that conversation so that we're doing the right things at the right time, based on, again, with the view of how do we stay sustainable and continue to grow in the market.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how many times we've had, the CEO of a business on and the comment of like, listen to customers and evolve with them is like, is a mantra, whether it's you or whether it's Patrick Collinson or whether it's like, so actually like that just it sounds so obvious when you say it out loud, but actually it really is a major secret to success, isn't it? But I guess on the broader context for the UK, and as you say, you're a UK business, you're sort of founded here and growing out from here. It kind of feels like we've got our mojo back a little bit. I was quite vocal recently of it felt like we dropped off a little bit after the high of everything that came out of 8 years, 10 years ago in terms of the flurry of opportunities and the rise of all of the fintech players here. But there's been some really great appointments within the regulators, within bodies, within businesses. It sort of feels like the UK's got its mojo back, and not quite overcoming passporting yet, but I think they're having a good go at it. You must see lots of change in that market as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's always a part, I think, in the UK where we sort of maybe it's quite a cultural thing. We like to talk ourselves down quite a lot, and actually
very, very humble.
Very humble, yeah, exactly. Always focusing on what we haven't done quite right rather than all the things we have done right. And I think to your point, there's a reason why we saw, back about 10 years ago, we saw so many new startups, fintech start here, and lots of them have grown enormously successfully. So if you looked at that, you say, well, we must be doing something right, because there's been an environment that's allowed those businesses, including us, to establish here, grow here, flourish here, and then take that success into other markets. And so you've got to say, okay, well, we're doing something right. It did feel, particularly in some of the areas, that maybe we lost a little bit of momentum. Again, digital assets, a good example. Everyone else was kind of doing stuff, and it felt like we were a little bit slow, but it feels like we're back at the party now. And we've remembered how successful we are when we focus and we look at how we support growth in the UK. And it feels incredibly exciting when you look at that opportunity now, both in terms of those established fintechs that have gone, absolutely enormous, unicorn, multi-market, that were founded here in the UK. And then you look at some of the challenges we're seeing start up now. Again, there'll be hopefully that next wave here. And as we kind of get that, hopefully the kind of digital asset space and the new payments vision and everything else kind of starts to take shape and embed, again, that feels like another wave of hugely things to be optimistic about in the market, that we're kind of back with a bang. We've remembered who we are, and we're really set up to be, again, another leading player in the world stage and the fintech space and UK as a whole.
Fantastic. I mean, that seems like a beautiful place to leave this, like in such a point of optimism. But again, I guess it is amazing how much of that is down to people, and actually, I don't think during that period where things were a little bit more difficult, I don't think it was down to like the wrong policies or the long, procedures or whatever. I think it was just having the right people in the right place to challenge the boundaries and, try and establish the leads that we once had. So yeah, I feel like everybody's very uplifted. I feel like that's a nice place to leave it. So Emma, we're going to have to wrap up the show, I'm afraid. It really, really great to chat to you, and thank you so much for making the time to come and talk to us. Where can people learn a little bit more about you and the great work that you guys are doing over at ClearBank?
So you can find me and ClearBank on LinkedIn, but also at clear.bank, which is our website.
Very good. Do you know what? I usually say LinkedIn, but do you know what, guys? Send me an email. It's nice to hear from you guys. David@11fs.com. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. If you like what you've heard, please follow our podcast, whatever platform of podcasts you get them from. You can get that there, I'm sure. If you like what you've heard, why not share the podcast with a colleague, a friend, an enemy that you want to learn more about financial services, whatever it is that you want to do. As always, if you do want to join the conversation, you can find us on pretty much every social media channel at this stage. Just search for 11FS or search for Fintech Insider. Or if you want to, then email us on podcasts with an S at 11fs.com. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. Goodbye.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose?
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time, 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.